What democratic socialism is about is saying that it is immoral and wrong that the top 1/10 of 1% in this country own almost 90%, own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
Power to the people, the means of production in the hands of the workers. Ooh, Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders says he's a democratic socialist. What do voters think of that? That used to be a really scary word. Is it still? Pollster Frank Luntz spoke with a lot of people about this issue, and he's got the very latest from his research on it. Great to see you, Frank.
Thank you. And what we found is that 47% of Americans now would consider, 46% would consider voting for a socialist. It is no longer this demonized word. And Bernie Sanders has completely changed it. You've got the numbers there from June. And I believe that those numbers have even increased. So we asked Democrats in our focus group we did a few days ago, which is preferable, socialism or capitalism? And to my shock, more than preferred socialism. That's how much the Democratic Party has changed.
It just says a lot. I mean, socialists, in the name of socialism, 80 million people were murdered last century. It wasn't that long ago. We both remember it. We're not that old.
But that's not the socialism they're speaking of. So they'll make the argument that having a police force is socialist because we're paying for the common good, that having a military is socialist. So they're redefining what the terminology means. And they also believe that capitalism has failed because of this income inequality of CEOs making many millions of dollars and people still working at minimum wage.
Well, of course, socialism has always been about arming the powerful. It's always a species of fascism. Oh, it doesn't surprise me there for, more guns for the government, of course.
But you keep going back 50 years, 100 years. To them, it's what's wrong with society today. And what I find interesting, and what I've said to conservatives, stop calling crony capitalism, because they don't necessarily hear the word crony, and it makes them think more negative of the word capitalism. The fact is, to people, capitalism is about profit and about Wall Street, rather than about opportunity and free markets. It's far better to talk about economic freedom or financial freedom than it is capitalism. Tucker, our definitions are changing in politics because of this campaign.
Yes.
Donald Trump is having an impact. Bernie Sanders is having an impact. And what we think in November of 2016 is going to be very different than October of 2015.
I completely agree with you. Let's just give, you make those really smart points. Let's give the party breakdown here. This is on the question of would you be willing to vote for a socialist or not. 59% of Democrats say yes. 49% of independents, that's really striking. And 26% of Republicans. What is going on?
I know. What happened to Republicans?
Yes.
It's because capitalism has been so demonized and so ripped apart by pundits, in the media, and even by candidates, that socialism is no longer that horrible concept that people once saw.
A lot of this has got to be a hangover from the 2008 financial crisis. I mean, it's got to be.
And the fact that nobody went to jail, which both Republicans and Democrats agree on, that some of those people who perpetrated those financial disasters should have been held accountable. And Tucker, without accountability, without personal responsibility, capitalism will continue to fall and socialism will continue to rise. It's frightening, but it's true.
Well, it is sort of interesting. I'm not for sending people to jail, but when Martha Stewart goes to jail for financial crimes, but nobody goes after 2008, it does sort of raise questions. Frank Luntz, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks for that. It was interesting and ominous.
Thank you.